Hello everyone and welcome to All Things Watched. In this video we are going to talk about the brand new movie Abigail. Now I'm a little late getting around to this one, but better late than never. I still wanted to review this movie just because I actually really enjoyed this movie, and I will say straight up I may be a little bit biased because of the fact that I really love the classic monster genre, that classical monster universe, you know, with Dracula, Wolfman, Invisible Man, Mummy, all these just great monsters and these great types of horror stories. And of course Abigail is about a little girl who is a vampire, and I also am oftentimes very drawn to stories where the vampire is a child and then you have a parent sometimes who is willing to go out of their way to do whatever it takes to, say, feed their child and make their little baby vampire survive. You know, one very underrated TV show that I really loved, or at least in my opinion it's underrated, and all these things are subjective, but was Let the Right One In. I really like that that series, and I kind of wish that they could have renewed it and done one more season with it, but they never did. But either way, this one is very similar to Let the Right One In the sense that it's really revolving around this little girl named Abigail, and of course she is a vampire. That's not really a huge spoiler. You'll find that relatively early on in the movie, or at least, you know, before halfways, or maybe even right around halfways, but you know what I mean. You can see that in the marketing, in the trailers, they reveal that Abigail has a little bit more going on than what meets the eye. She's a savage little creature, and she honestly, the actor Alicia Ware, who portrayed Abigail, was just phenomenal. Her performance was so intimidating. She was scary, but she was also really cool, and she had really cool moments. And I really like how they treated this I guess we'll say vampire creature type movie, because they did do a lot of things, especially in the third act when we're getting to the climax and watching all of our characters go through the climax and sort of get through this conflict of them being trapped inside of this house with this little baby vampire. I really liked how they did a lot of things that I was not expecting, especially with Abigail and also with one of the main characters. I believe his name was Frank. I believe it was Frank who was the one that really had sort of a story arc that I really was not expecting, and it was really refreshing because, like I said, I'm a big fan of the vampire genre anyways, but then to see the way that they told the story about Abigail and about these other people who are quote-unquote kidnapping Abigail, I just thought it was a really refreshing take. It ended in a way that I was not expecting. I was not able to predict this ending. I suspected that some things may or may not have to happen, especially when you get so far. They sort of tease somebody else that may or may not be related to Abigail, which is which could end up becoming a threat, so to speak, towards the end. And that's all I'll say about that, because I don't want to actually spoil the movie for you. But there were a lot of twists and turns in the movie that I was not expecting. Now, in terms of performances and whatnot, I really enjoyed seeing Kevin Durand back again. He portrays a character known as Peter. I feel like I haven't seen him in a while, but I really enjoyed his performance in this movie, along with I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Giancarlo Esposito, I believe is how you pronounce his name. I probably butchered it, but I think he was the same actor that was actually in Breaking Bad, and he was also in, I think it was called Revolution. In this movie, he portrays a character named Lambert. Once again, very compelling character, very cool. I kind of wish they used him a little bit more. I feel like he was a very underutilized actor. I just feel like he's such a big name to bring into this movie and then give him the sort of role that they gave him. I kind of wish he had a little bit of a bigger role, but still great to see him nonetheless. All the performances really were done really great. Catherine Newton, it was really good to see her, but I did feel like she was a little bit weaker in this movie. I felt like this was probably not her best performance, or her I've seen her do a better job than what she did here, but I still liked her in here all the same. If I'm going to be honest with you, out of all the characters that were sort of interacting with each other, whether it was Melissa Barrera's character Joey, or Dan Stevens' Frank, or even Abigail herself, I always felt like Catherine Newton's character always felt like she didn't fit, and that's really the biggest problem that I have with it. So it's probably not so much maybe Catherine's, maybe not her performance, maybe it's just the character in general, or maybe she might have been a little bit miscast. I just felt like she shouldn't be there. Like, she was the only person out of the whole group that I really felt was kind of odd. Like, I just felt like maybe she shouldn't even really be on this team, or quote-unquote team and whatnot. I just felt like she was really out of place, and I felt like I don't know, I just felt like she didn't really play that well off of the other characters. But nothing against Catherine Newton. I love her. I think she's a great actor. I think she's going to have a bright future. But I just didn't really like her in this movie. And quite frankly, I didn't really think that her character was really necessary. But once again, they did have a really interesting story arc with her as well. Something else that I didn't quite see coming, but I did see coming maybe for one of the characters, but not necessarily her. But I did suspect that something that happened, the thing that happens to her character in the movie, I did suspect would happen to one of them. I just wasn't sure if it would be her or somebody else. But either way, she was, it was great to see her, I guess, and I'm happy that she managed to get some work. But I just didn't really care for her in this movie. Didn't really think that her character was relatable or even likable a whole lot or whatnot. So like I said, maybe it was just the way it was written. Maybe they didn't really need that character. But going back to Alicia Weir, who portrayed the young Abigail, man, her performance was phenomenal. I see a bright future for her. I don't know that I'm familiar with her with anything else. Actually, let me see. I might be able to see what else she starred in. She starred in Melita the Musical, Abigail, Don't Leave Home, and Wicked Little Letters. They seem to be her biggest ones. Yeah, so I don't think that I've seen her in anything outside of Abigail. So considering that this is my first time seeing her, I thought her performance was phenomenal. She's, if she continues to pursue acting, which I have no doubt she will, I think she's going to do really good and have a really great long-standing career. But overall, I really liked Abigail. I thought the Abigail creature itself was very intimidating. The vampire, the horror aspects of it was very intimidating at times. I really loved how they treated this vampire more of like an animal as opposed to just being this force of nature that comes in to wreck the house. She was very animalistic in the sense that some animals like to play with their food. And, of course, Abigail sort of had those features to her. She didn't just straight up kill people. She kind of had fun toying with them and playing with them and whatnot. So it was a lot of fun seeing that. But then, like I said, when you get to the third act and towards the climax, a lot of crazy stuff happens that I didn't see personally. But I did really enjoy the direction that they went. And honestly, I think it made the movie a better movie. I don't really always like to put numbers on movies just because these things are subjective. You might have hated it, I might love it, or I might hate it, you might love it, and it doesn't matter. All these things are subjective. But if I were to put a number on this movie, I'd probably give Abigail probably about a 70%, but like I said, these things are subjective. I really enjoyed it, had a lot of fun. It was a really refreshing take on a vampire story, and if they ever did a sequel, I would totally be there for it, and I kind of hope they do a sequel. So with that being said, folks, that's my review of Abigail. Let me know in the comment section below if you've seen it, and if you'd like to tell me why or why not. If you like this video, click that subscribe button, and until the next one, take care.